Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're heading on down to FireLake in Shawnee, Oklahoma for another PBA Regional. And we're going to be bowling on a 47-foot shark pattern. Which I've bowled several of the animal patterns but haven't yet bowled on this one. So we did lay it down at a couple houses to practice ahead of time to see what that was going to be like. And I did find a good shot far outside. There's also a shot inside. The in between the outside and inside is sort of a no-go zone. So we're going to see how this goes down in Shawnee. So I've been dealing with some lower back pain. I've got some inflammation going on between some discs down there, and it did cause some problems at the last Northwest Missouri Senior Tour event, but it's slowly getting better day by day. I'm able to throw the ball okay, but long periods of standing and sitting do cause a lot of pain, and actually bending over to pick up the ball off the rack is not the most comfortable thing. So we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully I can get through 8 games okay. Before I dive into the video though, I want to give a big thank you to all of you for helping us get to 15,000 subscribers. We didn't think we'd ever get to that point, but here we are, and we're going to keep pushing forward to 20,000, so a big thank you to you all. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, please do so, and we hope you enjoy the video. All right, game 1 is down, and the outside line looked pretty good with that hammer effect tour. Shot 225, and that was with an open in the 10th frame. I pulled it just a little bit and ended up with a split that I did not convert, so 225 is not too bad. I will take 7 more of those. We're going to be jumping from the high end of the house to the low end of the house, so we're going to see if we can keep that rolling, but not sure if the shot's going to be similar or if it's going to be a little different, so we'll see how game 2 goes. All right, so games 2 and 3 were kind of a disaster. The low end of the house is definitely significantly tighter than the high end of the house. In fact, at the end of this tournament, a lot of us were talking and everybody said the same thing. So A and B squad both. So the low end of the house much tighter, and I definitely experienced that. I ended up spending most of game 2 trying different equipment, trying different spots to see what I could find, and I didn't find anything until my fill ball, which I just moved even further right and pointed it a little bit more at the pocket, and that was pretty good. That worked the first ball of game 3 as well, but unfortunately I left a couple splits, which I did not pick up. I was 0 for on washout conversions for the entire day, and these 2 games, single pins were fine, but any multi-pin spare I had, I was chopping them like crazy. So I was not good on my multi-pin spares during these 2 games, and so that caused me to score pretty low, and I'm under the mark by quite a bit. But I did find something changing balls in the 10th frame there of game 3, and we're going to see if that can give me something a little bit better going forward. All right, game 4 looked a little bit better. I did jump left, missed the first couple of them out wide, and of course one was a washout that I missed, and the other was a multi-pin spare that I chopped, so started with 2 opens, which was not ideal. But I was noticing everybody that was having success was keeping it just left of the right tracer, but right of the left tracer. So right between the 2 tracers down lane, and I got those first 2 wide of the right tracer. So I changed my targeting system a little bit, tried to elongate my line to make sure that I was keeping it between those tracers. I was having a lot of mixer strikes, but they were in the pocket, and I didn't want to give that away, so I stuck with it. Was at least able to shoot plus that game, getting back into the 200. So hopefully we found something. I did try a different ball on the fill ball to see if I can get a little more oomph on the end, which I did a tiny bit, but we're going to see what we can do for game 5. Unfortunately, game 5 didn't record, and it didn't go quite as well, but it was a game I was throwing the ball well. I was getting tapped a lot, so ended up in the 170s for game 5. We're going to move back down to the high end, though, game 6, which we know is a tighter pair. Let's see what happens when we jump down there again. All right, game 6 got off to a slow start with some shots not coming back, but I did pick up a bucket, so that was a positive. But I found the line again, ended up shooting 220 something, and then I shot a 2-0 the next game. So a couple of 200s for 6 and 7. One more game to go. We're not going to be making the cut. We're not going to be probably even getting into plus unless I can shoot 250 something here, which could potentially happen, but we're creeping back up to the high side. It's going to be hooking a little bit more. Let's see what happens the last game. All right, game 8, man, these lanes were hooking a lot. There were times that the shot was good, but several times where the ball just jumped significantly on me and struggled a bit and shot 170. So I ended up minus 81 for the tournament, which is definitely not where I want to be, but, you know, back held up, so that's a positive. It's really, really tight. It still hurts a bit, and I'm still going through physical therapy, so I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off now. We do have an Ironman tournament coming up here in a couple weeks, which is a 16-game tournament. It's my favorite tournament of the year, but 16 games could be a lot of stress on my back. So we're going to see how PT and rest goes over the next 2 weeks and determine if I can make that. Otherwise, the next regional is in Wichita, beginning of May. So appreciate you guys watching. Once again, if you hit that subscribe button, we'd greatly appreciate it, and we will see you guys at the next tournament.